Okay, so let me begin. Today's session, as you know, is on emotional intelligence, and I am going to begin my session with a quote by Charles Swindoll, who said that life is 10% of what happens to us, and 90% is how we react to it. So this is nothing but attitude, and attitude is a big part of emotional intelligence. Now this term emotional intelligence or emotional quotient is quite a recent construct, and it was first used sometime in the mid 80s, maybe 1985, but this term emotional quotient or emotional intelligence gained popularity only in 1995 with the publication of Daniel Goleman's path-breaking book called Emotional Intelligence, Why It Matters More Than IQ. EQ, Why It Matters More Than IQ. Now, what is EI? What is emotional intelligence? Actually, it is the ability to identify, manage our own emotions and those of others as well. And at the core of emotional intelligence is self-awareness, because if we are not aware of our own emotions, our own behaviors and our own motivations, it is nearly impossible for us to manage other people's emotions as well. Now, are emotions useful to us? Yes, of course, because emotions are signposts. They tell us what we are feeling. They tell us where we are going, in which direction we are headed. And emotional awareness not only allows us to control our own moods, but also shows us things about ourselves. They also help us connect in positive ways, in meaningful ways with other people. Now, according to Daniel Goleman, he says that as much as 80% of all adult success comes from EQ, the emotional quotient, and not from IQ. In a study of skills that distinguished star performers in companies across domains, right from the entry level to the managerial and executive positions, it was found that the single most important factor was not IQ, not degrees, and not technical ability, but emotional quotient or the emotional intelligence. Of all the competencies that are required for excellent performances, 67% were found to be emotional competencies. Now, what is emotional intelligence all about? How does it help us? How is it different from being emotional? Like an emotional person shows their feelings strongly, they express their emotions strongly, but it doesn't mean that they are emotionally intelligent. Emotionally intelligent people are able to channelize their emotions to work for them. For example, let's say you have an interview tomorrow and you're very nervous about it. Now, some people, what they do is they just try to tell themselves, oh, all is well, I'm going to do a great job tomorrow. This positive affirmation helps, positive auto-suggestions help, but that is not enough. What we need to do is, if you're feeling nervous, try and prepare better. Try and find out more about the interviewer. Try and research about the company. Try and find out about the job description. Try and find out what the company is all about, what your position is all about. So it is more about preparation, right? So being emotional, expressing emotions is one part, but how to deal with it is another. Now the next question which arises is, क्या emotional intelligence सीखा जा सकता है? Can it be learned? Yes, it is a learnable skill. It is something that emotional intelligence is an innate part of us. A part of it is innate, a part of it is which we learn from our environment, from our upbringing, and part of it comes from our attitude. Yes, of course, it is a learnable skill, and all of us can develop our emotional intelligences. Now, I don't want to go too much into theoretical gyan, and let us just look at what are the things that highly emotional intelligent people do, what makes them emotional intelligence, and what we need to do to become emotionally intelligent. Now the first thing is, let's not go ahead of the story. That means, what I mean is worry, right? Now, do you know the difference between worry and anxiety? Worry is I sit and think about an event which hasn't happened as yet, and I start sitting and thinking about all the possible outcomes of that particular event. They may happen, they may not happen. Whereas anxiety is when these thoughts start showing their effects on our physiology and on our physique. So it is seen through research that anxious people are more likely to jump to conclusions, most of which are obviously negative. And what this does is it pulls them down. Now, let me give you a personal example. My son Varun is 25 and he has a massive bike that he's bought. And Varun loves to go on long rides, solo rides on his bike over weekends. Now, I, as a mother sitting in Baroda, far away from him, every time I get a call from Varun saying, Amma, I am going for a ride, I go into worry mood. I start thinking all kinds of possibilities. ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, पता नहीं पहुंचेगा कि नहीं. And I sit and worry endlessly till I get a phone call from him saying he has reached, or like, he's on the way, he's safe, he has reached, or he's come back home. Doesn't this sound familiar? Well, it is the same with all of us. Now, what should we do? What we can do is we should stop and think and ask ourselves, do we have any basis to think like that? So if I look at my situation, I can say, has Varun ever driven unsafely? Has he ever gotten into an accident situation? The answer is no. And I myself have been a two-wheeler rider since my teenage days. So how can I stop my son from riding a bike? So when we start thinking like this, when we look at the data, when we move ourselves away from the situation, we actually start thinking rationally. Now, what does this freaking out do to us? When we start worrying, we start freaking out. And what it does is we stop thinking rationally. It wastes our time and pushes us into panic mode. Now, is there a way of getting out of this? Can we get out of this? Now, this happens because of the way our brain is designed. So, let me just give you a peek about our brain. Now, a brain in simple terms is has two parts. One part is called the amygdala and the other part is called the neocortex. Now, the amygdala is the feeling or the emotional part of the brain, whereas the neocortex is the thinking and the rational part of the brain. Now, the amygdala or the emotional and feeling part of the brain, it has a responsiveness which is 100 times faster than the rational or the neocortex. And this is very important because it helps us when we actually face real life threatening situations. But the sad part is the amygdala can also get triggered by perceived threats. And most of our times when we worry, our threats are perceived. And that is why we go into this, we always end up imagining the worst. Now, how can we stop this downward spiral? What we can do is, emotional intelligent people, what they do is they move from emotional activity to physical activity. So by doing this, for example, if I am feeling very emotional and I am tense, I just go, a few steps in the house or pick up and drink a glass of water. When somebody is upset and they come to our house, or even when a child is upset, what do we say? Beta, baith ja. Chaliye pani pee le. Ab bata kya hua hai. So what we do is we move from reacting emotionally, we start empathizing, and then we start looking for data. The moment you start looking for data, you stop being emotional and you start thinking rationally. That is where questioning brings in your neocortex into play and subdues the amygdala, which triggers these emotional responses in us. Now, whenever we are in a tense situation, आप क्या कर सकते हैं? अपने आप से पूछिए, ये जो इश्यू है मैं फेस कर रही हूँ, इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा? What will its impact be and for how long? 6 मिनट, 6 घंटे, 6 दिन, 6 महीने, 6 साल, इसका क्या असर है? इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा मेरी जिंदगी में? Once you engage your neocortex with questions, then you start getting answers. Otherwise, when you make judgment, make statements, hi, toba, मेरे को क्या हो गया, ये मेरे साथ ही क्यों हुआ, this, that, you are engaging the amygdala and getting more and more deeper into worry. Now, the second thing that emotionally intelligent people do is to name their emotions very, very clearly. Now, what am I saying? What do I mean? I mean that you need to label the emotions that you feel. honestly, at least to yourself initially. For example, if somebody says कैसा लग रहा है, don't say हाँ मुझे बहुत बुरा लग रहा है, I am feeling hurt or I am feeling bad. There are a lot of words in the English vocabulary which we have, which express various intensities of emotions. So what you can do is, now when you label these emotions clearly, don't say I am feeling scared. Say I am anxious, I am afraid, I am petrified, I am mortified, I am terrified. If you are sad, you say I am feeling morose, I am sorrowful, I am devastated, I am depressed. Use the right emotion, express the right intensity. हिंदी में भी आप ये बहुत सारे शब्द हैं, इंग्लिश में भी हैं, right? So we need to use the right words at least to ourselves first, and then we can use it on other people. So what does this do? When we label our emotions clearly, it helps us to focus our attention on the way these emotions arise and they affect our choices. Now let's say that you are very worried about something. When we are worried, we are not able to take risks. Our capacity to take risks or decisions which are courageous comes down when we are worried. Similarly, when we are excited, we are impulsive. So, when we increase our awareness about our emotions, when we label them clearly, we are able to prevent ourselves from deciding or taking decisions purely based on emotions, and we get our rational brain working. Now the third thing that emotionally intelligent people do is, now the first step is to label your emotions. अब label कर दिया, उसके बाद करेंगे क्या करेंगे, उनको handle करना है, uncomfortable emotions को handle करना है. Now how do you handle your uncomfortable emotions? First step is naming. Second step is to start using some coping strategies. Now what are the coping strategies that you can use? What do? Some people eat when they are tense, when they are stressed, when they are emotionally disturbed, they eat. Some people drink. Some people go for a walk. Some people isolate themselves. Or some people pick up the phone and vent out all their feelings to their friends. Now we use coping strategies depending on what works for us. There's nothing wrong or right about it, but only that we need to be sure that these don't remain only short-term strategies, because if they are short-term, most of them are short-term, because immediately after a little time they make you feel worse. So the idea is that we look at long-term strategies where these things can become a habit, where our coping strategies become a habit and prevent us from getting into extremely emotional situations and allowing our emotions to hijack our intelligence. Right? Now, how can you train your brain to do this? So if we have to be emotionally intelligent, we need to train our brains to think differently. How? By changing our behavior. Now, how do you change your behavior? Start doing tough things first. You need to prove to yourself that you're stronger than you actually are. Try to get yourself out of your comfort zone. Don't try to, always look at things that you've already done. Push your boundaries. Now let me give you an example of a situation that happened to me. Now I was traveling to Malaysia, and that was my first trip abroad with my husband and children. My husband was supposed to join us in Chennai, and we were supposed to fly to Malaysia together, to Kuala Lumpur together. The day we were traveling, he calls me and tells me, मेरे को दिल्ली में काम है, I have to, I can't come with you, I'll come and join you in KL after 2 days, you go. My sons were 7 and 10, and I took the flight from Chennai, and throughout the flight I was wondering क्या करूँ, this is the first situation. I had no clue. I got down at KL airport, I got down, and for a moment I froze. I didn't know what to do. My little children, 7 and 10, they were staring at my face, and I just stood and told myself, okay, this is a new situation. If my husband were in this situation, what would he have done? If Vikrant had been there with the 2 children, he wouldn't have even bothered. No, just because I'm a woman or this is the first time, should I even worry? What would Vikrant do? He would just follow the signs, walk to the airport, or if he has a doubt, he'll ask people. And I think I'm capable enough to do that. So I followed the signs, asked around here, and I was able to go through the immigration, do everything with the small children, and come out. When I came out to the terminal, when I was at the exit to make a call, to find out where my uncle was waiting to pick me up, when I call home to them, they told me, Arey, it's very easy to come from the airport. There is a train it's just 72 kilometers to KL city. You take a train, it's a driverless train. You just take a train and come to the railway station, we'll come and pick you up. I had just come out of all the stress of coming out. Now there was one more. But since I had already faced the hard challenge, I did not find the next step difficult. I said, अरे इतनी दूर आ गए, अब आगे भी निकल लेंगे. And I actually did it. So we will be thrown into situations like this in life. So we need to actually believe that we are stronger than what we give ourselves credit for. Now, when I say coping strategies, there are a lot of negative coping strategies and there are a lot of positive coping strategies. Now, the positive coping strategies which work on the long term are yoga, deep breathing, exercise, sleep, getting adequate sleep. And the negative copers would be smoking, drinking, drugs, building resentment, feeling guilty for what has happened in the past. Now, it is a choice that we make consciously as to what kind of coping strategies work for us and what can, take us through in the long run. Now, one important thing that emotionally intelligent people do is to set boundaries, and they are extremely assertive people. Now, there's a difference between assertive and aggressive. Aggression is where you put down the other person, you throw your weight on other people to shut them up or get the better of them. But assertiveness is where you get what you want from people, you make them do what you want, you achieve your communication goals or whatever you are looking at, but without hurting other people's feelings. So emotionally intelligent people, they are very particular about the boundaries they set. Boundaries about what? About their morals, about their ethics, there are certain things that they hold non-negotiable in their lives and they will not let it go for anybody, right? And they are also assertive. They know how to say no. Most of us get into unnecessary, unwanted emotional situations because we hesitate to say no. अरे ना कह दिया उसको बुरा लग जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा, वो हमसे बात नहीं करेंगे. No. Your life is important to you. So it is for you to prioritize. So you can always assertively say no. And we need to learn to say no. It is a big part of being emotionally intelligent. Assertive people also use a lot of I statements. They take responsibility for their emotion. They don't say things like, तुमने मुझे रुला दिया, तुमने मुझे गुस्सा दिलाया, you made me cry, you made me angry. No, they say, when you said this, I felt angry. I was upset when you said this. So I am taking responsibility and the onus for my emotion. And like they say, the moment I label an emotion, the moment I describe an emotion, it actually subsides. They say the moment you know, you are aware that you are angry, the moment you tell yourself, I am angry, your anger is actually gone because that awareness has come to you. So, emotionally intelligent people take responsibility for their emotions and they stand for their boundaries, right? Now, apart from these, there are a lot of other things that emotionally intelligent people do. One of it is they learn and continuously grow. They never say, हाँ मुझे सब कुछ आता है, जो करना था लाइफ में कर लिया, बस हो गया. They learn and grow constantly. They learn from people. They observe people. Emotionally intelligent people are extremely empathetic. They try to understand the other people's feelings. They try to not put themselves in their shoes, but see what that person must be going through. So that is a lot of learning, right? They also move from judgment to curiosity. Emotional intelligence makes you move from judgment to curiosity. Now let me tell you a small story here. I don't know where I heard it, but somehow it has stuck to me for years. Now I would love to say this in Hindi if you don't mind. एक आदमी अपने 2 बच्चों के साथ ट्रेन में ट्रैवल कर रहा था एंड उसके बच्चे बहुत छोटे थे, 5-7 साल के होंगे. सो ट्रेन में जा रहे थे वो बच्चे पूरा टाइम ट्रेन में उधम मचा रहे थे. कोई कूद रहा है, कोई बर्थ पे चढ़ रहा है, यहाँ से वहाँ दौड़ रहे हैं, लोगों की चीज़ें उठा रहे हैं, laughing loudly, चिल्ला रहे हैं, shrieking. They were having a ball in the train. They were having fun. They were just creating a ruckus on the train. लोग बैठे रहे, थोड़ा सा परेशान होने लगे, आपस में फुसफुसाने लगे थोड़ी देर में, टॉकिंग अबाउट द मैन कि ये कैसा बाप है, बच्चे इतनी उधम मचा रहे हैं और ये कुछ कह ही नहीं रहा है. After some time, they just spoke to each other, and then one man gathered the courage to talk to the father of the children and said, भाई साहब, आप देख रहे हैं कि आपके बच्चे इतनी मस्ती कर रहे हैं, इतना उधम मचा रहे हैं, आप उनको बोलते क्यों नहीं कुछ? So the man says, मैं हमेशा तो ऐसा नहीं करता, मैं उनको रोकता, पर 2 दिन पहले ही इनकी माँ की डेथ हुई है और हम उनकी अंत्येष्टि, उनका अंतिम संस्कार करके हम वापस घर जा रहे हैं. मैं वो वैसे ही दुखी है, उन्हें खास समझ नहीं आ रहा है क्या हो रहा है, मम्मी कहाँ है. मैं उनको रोक कर उनको और दुखी नहीं करना चाहता, इसलिए मैं उनसे कुछ नहीं कह रहा हूँ. Now none of us would have imagined a situation like this. So it is important that we don't judge, we try to understand why. क्यों कोई ऐसा कर रहा होगा? There must be a reason. So when we start asking questions, again, like I said earlier, we bring the neocortex into play. So we need to move from judgment to genuine curiosity, not because you want information to create gossip, but to genuinely understand where that person is coming from. Also, emotionally intelligent people choose how they want to spend their energy. Okay, so there are people who don't dwell in the past. जो बीत गई सो बात गई. They leave their conflicts behind. They don't hold resentment for what has happened. Like I am a follower of Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, and Jaggi Vasudev हमेशा कहते हैं, and when I heard him live, he had said in one of his talks that when an event is happening, when an emotionally disturbing event is happening, some accident, some loved one is unwell, or some disturbing event is happening, if you do not invest too much of emotion at that time, if you can maintain your emotional equanimity at that time, even later when you recall that event, it will not haunt you, it will not traumatize you. Otherwise, sometimes when we go back and think about our past, we just go through all the negative emotions, all the trauma and pain that we faced when actually that event happened. So, leaving the past behind, I'm not saying forget your past, we need to learn our lessons from the things that we have faced in the past, but let's not dwell on it, because we can't do a thing about what has happened in the past. Right? And the next thing that emotionally intelligent people do, and we have to do if we want to improve our emotional quotient, is not to compare ourselves with other people. We all have our different stories, we are all unique, our circumstances are different. No two lives are the same. So there is no point in comparing each other and trying to say, oh, I would like to have that person's life. दूर के ढोल सुहाने होते हैं. The grass is always greener on the other side. Like they say, if you put everybody, ask 10 people to write all their problems on a chit and place it on the table, and you're given the freedom to pick up a chit other than yours, you invariably will choose your own problem, because others are facing much bigger problems than what we have. If you actually think honestly, we are all living charmed lives. हमारी लाइफ में कोई कमी नहीं है, right? So don't allow, because our self-worth comes from within. So don't allow other people to define who you are. You are what you are. You learn from other people, take up the positive things from other people. If you're able to identify a negative aspect in yourself, try to work on it. But don't try to don't allow other people to define you. And don't try to live your life by the definitions of other people. Okay? So we have seen so far the things that emotionally intelligent people do. And these are some ways in which we can build our emotional intelligence. Now let me just move a little bit and see and look at the present time कि आज की जिंदगी में क्या हो रहा है. For example, now we are moving, technology is increasing so much. Classrooms have moved into homes, we are having children are at home, our workspaces have moved into our homes, our life has moved into our workspaces. These differentiations have blurred. As technology is increasing, what will happen is robotics, AI, these technologies will actually pick up a lot of jobs that we humans either don't like, don't enjoy, are not good at, or are dangerous for us. So they will actually pick up these jobs, and what will happen is we human beings will be left with a lot of time and capability to actually work on our emotional intelligences, right? And as technology progresses and with all this social media, though we are in touch with each other on a day-to-day basis, that closeness, that intimacy is not there. Otherwise, we should have, these things should have enhanced our emotional intelligence far better, but the reverse is happening. Right? So, as technology is becoming more and more sophisticated, human skills like empathy and compassion will have the competitive edge not only at the workplace but also at home and with families. Now, like I said before, with the given pandemic situation, everything is a mess. Work, home, everything is together. We carry our work emotions to the home and home emotions to the workplace, and now we don't travel. It's just one room or a wall which separates these two spaces. So what do we do now? So what we need to do is this is the time where we can embrace our emotions at work, carry some of the positive emotions from our home to the workplace, and see if we can build trust and ensure that we do better professionally. Pick up those emotions that can help us become better professionally, build our people's skills, and enhance our communication. So that is something that we need to do, and look at this pandemic situation as an opportunity to ensure that we actually do that. Let's not take it as a burden or a hindrance in our lives. Let's make this challenge also an opportunity. And I think people at the workplace are also understanding, and that empathy within the workplace is also growing. Now, when people say that I am a professional, it is a myth that emotion has no place at the workplace. Emotion और professionalism दो अलग चीज़ें हैं. जब हम जैसे ही कोई कहता है कि मैं professional हूँ, the image we get is this person is very stoic. This person is very stoic. He is very cold. You have to be cold and stoic if you want to consider yourself professional. No, it is not true. It is a myth, because we need empathy, compassion, understanding the other person. These are people skills, are what is going to take us ahead in our lives. Like they say, you get your first job because of your technical skills, because of your degrees. They say that you need an IQ, an average IQ of 100 or maybe 110 or 20 to do an MBA or do an engineering. So your engineering, that IQ is good enough to get you a technical job or a soft skill job or any job that you're looking for. But what will take you ahead in that job is not your IQ, because everybody who is an engineer or an MBA plus or minus has the same IQ as yours. So what differentiates you from other people? Your people skills, your emotional intelligence, your emotional quotient. And that is what we need to work on every single day. Technical skills can be picked up in a month, but emotional skills take a lifetime to pick up. It's a work. We are a work in progress, and we need to constantly work on ourselves. Now, we've seen how emotional intelligence, emotional quotient works at the workplace, in our professional lives. But let us also look at the most important roles that we play in our lives. And I think the most important roles we play in our lives is that of a parent, and it's a huge responsibility that has been bestowed on us, that we have to create a generation of emotionally intelligent people. We carry the burden of a whole generation on our shoulders, and it is our responsibility that we ensure that our children grow up as emotionally intelligent adults. Now, how can we do that? Now, first thing is, we have to be role models to our children, right? If we want them not to be high-strung and throw tantrums, we need to stop doing that as well. So if we use violence to control them, they are going to do the same thing in future. So they will learn aggression if we teach them aggression. They will learn assertiveness if we show them assertiveness. So there are some things that we can do as parents to ensure that our children grow up as emotionally intelligent individuals. The first thing is, acknowledge their feelings. When your children come crying to you, don't say, "Chup karo, kyun ro rahe ho? Ladkiyon ki tarah mat ro." Let's not make these judgmental statements, right? So the crying is a sign that there is some emotional trauma that the child is going through. So first acknowledge that emotion. Tell the child, "Kya hua hai, mujhe batao," right? Empathize with them, engage with them, and observe your children in different settings. Observe how your child behaves with the grandparents, with the parents, with uncles and aunts, with friends, with teachers, with peers, with colleagues. Observe them and see if there is anything lacking. Okay. Now the biggest mistake we make as parents are we try to shield our children from emotional situations. Nahi. Like I have seen people in my own family where I have seen them telling their grandparents, मेरे बच्चे को मत डांटो, आपको जो बोलना है मुझे बोलो, I will tell my child. No. We are all teachers, grandparents, uncle, aunts, all of us mean well. So we should not shield our children from emotional situations. Like if we do that, it is like sending them to an Olympics for an Olympic sport without training them at all. And that is what life is. We are not training them for life at all. So what can we do? For very small children, you can engage in bedtime reading. When you read to your child, what you're doing is you are making the child explore different characters, who are going through different life experiences, and they express their emotions. So the child learns to understand behavior and identify these emotions. Okay, and this can happen as early as in 3-year-old children. And then we need to demonstrate the behavior that we expect from our children. And one thing that we need to be careful about is that all emotions are acceptable from your children, but all behavior is not. So we need to draw a line and say this emotion is fine, but this behavior is not. Because yes, we need to be democratic parents, but there are some invisible lines that 1 minute, I'll just put my phone on charge. There are some invisible lines which need to be there between us and our children. So they know that there are some boundaries that they cannot cross. Give me a second, please. So school, where did it go? Like the children, what does school teach them? Schools teach them how to think, but we as parents should teach them how to feel. I think a lot of teachers who are listening to me will, agree with me and, resonate with my statement, because our education system is such that we teach them everything but not life skills. And emotional intelligence is one of the most, important life skills that we need to teach our children. The earlier we begin, the better for all of us. So let me recap on the things that what we have seen so far. Let me just recap with 6 things that emotional intelligent people are capable of doing. The first one is they can read non-verbal communication better. That is because they have empathy. They are interested in the other person's emotion. They want to harness their emotions and the emotions of other people. So they can read non-verbal communication, non-verbal signals, facial expressions far better than people who have low emotional quotients. And that we can learn only by observing sincerely, being sincerely empathetic to people and observing their behaviors. The second thing is they are interested in other people's feelings and thoughts. They are emotionally resilient. They do not go into this panic mode. They are resilient. They use positive coping skills to handle their emotions and see how they move from being a part of the problem to become a part of the solution. As long as we react emotionally, we are always a part of the problem. The moment we start becoming emotional intelligent, we start using our rational brain, we have moved from being a part of the problem to being a part of the solution. The next is emotionally intelligent people do not internalize failure. They just take it as feedback. They don't take it as failure, right? They take failure as a feedback. ठीक है, आज मेरे से अच्छा नहीं हुआ, इस सब्जेक्ट में अच्छा नहीं हुआ आज, maybe मेरे को ये सीखने की ज़रूरत है, I will learn it. And they do the same thing with their children. Don't call them failures. Just say that this is the feedback you've got from school. It is all right. Academics is not everything. बहुत कुछ है life में, right? And then They also introspect, they self-analyze. Like I said earlier, they are self-aware, so they are always checking on their own weak areas. They solicit feedback from people. लोगों से पूछते हैं क्या मैंने ये ऐसा किया, ऐसा reaction मेरा सही था या नहीं. So they talk to people and then learn their weaknesses and try to work on them. And they avoid negative self-talk. Who is the most important person in your life? If you ask this question to people, कोई कहेगा मेरा बच्चा, मेरा father, मेरा husband. No, I am the most important person in my life. You are the most important person in your life. So we are very aware of the way we speak to other people. We are very aware of the way we address people. We are very polite and courteous with others, but we use the most abusive language with ourselves. We call ourselves names, we slot ourselves into images and say मैं तो ऐसी हूँ, मैं ऐसे तो कुछ नहीं होता, मैं बेवकूफ़ हूँ, ये वो. No, you avoid negative self-talk. Don't slot yourself into images. Have an open mind. Anyway, people around us are already judging us. हमें भी अपने आप को judge करने की क्या ज़रूरत है? So let's not do that, right? So this is what emotional intelligence is all about. It is about self-awareness, knowing your emotions, understanding your emotions, becoming aware of them, naming them, labeling them, look for positive coping strategies, being assertive, learning to say no, and these are things that make us emotional intelligence. Now, just before I close, I would like to mention a song which actually epitomizes emotional intelligence, and that is the song from the movie Hum Dono by Rafi Saab, which is मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फिजूल था, बर्बादियों का शोक मनाना फिजूल था, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया, जो मिल गया उसी को मुकद्दर समझ लिया, जो मिल गया उसी को मुकद्दर समझ लिया, जो खो गया मैं उसको भुलाता चला गया, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, मैं दिल को उस मकाम पे लाता चला गया. So that is about equanimity and self-actualization. That is a high level. We don't need to reach that. We will slowly, but at least अपनी जिंदगी के साथ निभाइए, उसका साथ निभाइए, उसके साथ चलिए. Go with the flow. Celebrate life. Take every experience that you go through, good, bad, ugly, as a learning experience. Don't get bogged down. So thank you so much. I would like to thank the Women's Health Research Foundation and Neha ji for giving me this opportunity to come live. To be honest, this is the first time I'm doing anything live on Facebook, and I think I really enjoyed doing it. It's been a wonderful experience for me, and I hope all of you also enjoyed it as much as I did bringing it to you. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you, and I really appreciate all of you for being there today. Thank you so much.